Hi, this is Dave. Welcome back to another episode of Dr. Dave's Diversions. Today I'm doing some meat smoking out in the wintertime, and what this video is going to be about is about how I am remodifying my grill to do low and slow cooking on a typical gas grill. If you happen to have a gas grill, especially a simple one, which is 2 burners like me, they're too hot to do low and slow smoking of meats. So I've modified it by changing the orifices and changing the burner so that I can like just one side and be low and slow. And I also happen to cook with wood smoke on a gas grill. So first I'll talk to you a little bit about what the problem I have with the gas grill in the wintertime, where I couldn't get it up to a high enough temperature because I'd modified it in the summertime to cook low and slow. Then we'll go to my bench and I'll show you how I use a pin vise and some very small drills to modify the brass orifices that regulate how much gas can get to the burners on here. And that's the secret to cooking low and slow on gas grills that typically can't go that low. And then to really prove it out, we'll actually do a cook. And so what I'm going to cook is what's called poor man's brisket, or I'll cook smoke a chuck roast on the grill, which will probably be a 5 or 6 hour cook. And right now I'm in the middle of that cook, and I'll show you right here. I'm in the middle of it because it's going to be dark when I finish, and won't be able to do the video then. But stick around if you'd like to see that, and we'll go back to me a couple hours ago, or a few hours ago, when we start doing the modification. Most modern gas grills can achieve low and slow cooking temperatures by using just one burner on a low setting, making modification unnecessary. Modifying any gas grill can be dangerous. Modification can cause backup flame around valves, can cause flame out in windy or cold conditions, and can cause gas to accumulate and explode. So originally this gas grill, which is an Embermatic, an Arkla brand Embermatic grill from the 90s, it only had 2 burners. And if you have one of the burners on only in its lowest setting and you close the lid, the temperature would still go way too high. You'd be at 350 degrees, 375 degrees in there. So what I did was I modified the grill in the past to have one low BTU burner and one original higher BTU burner. And that allowed me in the summertime, in the warmer weather, to get the grill temperature right. With the lid closed, I could get it 225 to 275 between the lower and upper rack, respectively, and that was great for smoking meats. But now that it's wintertime and it's 50 or 60 degrees colder, the temperature is correspondingly lower. So it's still too hot when I use the original burner, the higher BTU burner, and it's way too low. I'm only getting something like 210 degrees, not enough to cook very well with the low BTU burner. So this grill is a kind of a typical sort of gas grill of 2 burners, called an H burner because it has this device in. And the way it works is there's 2 valves in there that have brass orifices that control the maximum amount of gas that could come from the low pressure valve between those in the LP tank, and then you can further adjust it here, obviously. But what we want to do is change the how low the lowest setting can be, and it has these Venturi tubes that feed the 2 separate sides of the gas burner, where flames will be underneath here. So what there are these brass orifices on the fittings underneath the grill, and we'll modify them to have different characteristics. So the lower BTU burner is a little higher than it is now. So this H burner, pretty simple. It's basically split into 2, where one side or the other lights, depending on if you have those open. But what I've also done is I've modified the low BTU side. I put brass screws in about half of the holes on that side, and that's because I put such a low volume orifice in there that there was no way that enough gas was going to be there to light the whole thing. So there's a couple modifications. Not only did I change the orifice to be smaller, so it's the lower BTU burner, but I modified the burner itself because those are kind of matched to the amount of gas. You can't have as many of these holes where the gas is going to be burning if you have much less gas. So that we won't change now. That's going to stay as it is. But let's look under the grill and remove the current orifices that are there. So here we are underneath the grill. Here's the where the valves are up on top. And the brass orifices are these two pieces right here. The original one with a larger hole and the one I have the modified one with a smaller hole over here. So all we're going to do is remove those and take them to the bench so that we can change the size of the holes. And I'm only going to modify one, but I'm going to bring them both in just so that you can get a better look at what they're like. So not too tight, they're brass, so you have to be careful with them. So let's go inside. So here we are at the bench with the two orifices, the original one from the 90s that was on the gas grill, and this one, I don't know if it's labeled. Let's see if it looks like it says something like maybe 1.25 or something like that on there. I don't recognize that particular measurement. So a common measure would be something like 54 gauge or something like that for the size of the hole right there. And I estimate that it's a 54 or 56 based on the advertisements from the time. I couldn't find information about my specific model of grill, but I looked back at advertisements for those H-burner grills at the time and the total number of BTUs and divided by half between the two burners, and then used this table I'll show you here to calculate what you can get in BTUs from an LP flame burning with the capacity of this orifice. Now here's the new one. I ordered these last year from a company. I'll have the information in the links. That was really helpful. I told them which kind of grill I had, and they said, well, these will fit. And the way they sell these guys is they sell them with, they're pre-drilled with a very tiny hole, and you see it's stamped 70 there. And it's actually not really meant to be used typically. What they want you to do is drill those out to the right size, and that's sort of, you'd call it a test hole. It's the guide hole that you're going to use to drill it out. So what I did is I bought what's called a pin vise, which is a tiny handheld drill that takes these very small drill bits of the sort that you use for electronics work, like to drill holes in PCB of a particular wire size, or you use them to drill orifices for gas appliances, or you use them for jewelry making. So I found this one. It's an American-made tiny drill set. Wasn't very expensive, but it has the very, very tiny sizes that I need to make this size 70 only slightly larger. 70 is the smallest size they have in here, so we'll have to change it to like a 68 or something, and then we'll go back out to the grill and light it up and see what kind of resulting temperature we get as a result, and see if I can cook my chuck roast today. I told you I was running with a 70, which is the test hole size, with the new orifice here, and that's stamped 70. And if we look at the sizing guide for that, a 70 is listed as having 5,476 BTUs. So we dropped it down to like a third of the power it had before, and I just want to take it up a little bit. No pun intended. So we'll look at these bits, and the smallest one here is a 70, then there's a 69 and a 68. And I think I'm going to go up to the 68 size. So I'll take that drill out and put it in the pin vise. So I should have said I'm no expert at this. I've never done this before. I just bought the stuff. But what I did is I watched some videos online, which I'll link in the description, that warned you about, you certainly don't use a power drill to do this. You do it by hand, and you do it very carefully. Well, classic example about not being able to find the right tool at the right time. I just decided to use this wood clamp to hold this. I think what I'll do is I'll hold it the other side and drill through from the other side. All right, I'm happy with that. So I guess we'll just have to just blow that out. So there's no dust in there. Go put that back on the grill and see how it works. So we're back at the grill. I've installed those two orifices back, and the one on my left side as I'm standing here is going to be the low BTU burner. And we have to fit this back in there. And remember, this is the side I have modified for fewer holes. I'll look underneath and get this fit in there correctly. Okay, so we should be able to ready to light. And our goal here is, so remember I have the holes plugged with those brass screws all along here, so you shouldn't see flame there or there. What we want to do is light completely around this portion. And then we'll close up the grill and watch the temperature and see if it's working the way we want. I'm going to close the lid and let it run for a little bit, and we'll see what kind of temps we get. Reference. So what we have now is that burner is all the way in its lowest setting, and we're down here not reading anything. So as an aside, while we're waiting to test this out a little more, I'm pretty confident we're going to be able to do this cook. So I have this Smoke Daddy cold smoke generator here, and it takes small pieces of charcoal and pieces of chunk wood. And I'm going to show you how I prepare that. So unfortunately, they don't sell wood in exactly the right size for that. You could use pellets, but I prefer to use whole pieces of wood. And while some of them will fit fine in that device, a lot of them won't. Like pieces like this. So I just use a hatchet, and I have to split them up into the smaller pieces. Wear safety goggles or safety glasses because these things can certainly sometimes fly. But just get a little zen and spend a little quality time with the wood and get it in the size pieces that will fit. All right, so we got that wood already, and we're ready to move on here. So we're reading up to 260 up at this level, but I can tell you from experience that down at the grate level it'll be a little lower, especially on this the cool side where I'm not having the burner lit. So I'm pretty happy with this. So the grill's running just a little over 250, and we're just on that one burner. You can see the smoke's really rolling from the smoke generator. That'll calm down a lot as I cook, but we're ready to go here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a drip pan on the cool side, which to you is the near side of the camera there. And this is just our extended test about seeing if we can really cook with what we've done here. So put that under there. And we've got our 3.5 pound chuck roast, all seasoned up with salt, pepper, garlic, and a coffee barbecue rub. So we're going to put that right there. And then pour about a pint of water down in the drip pan to keep things humid and not burning when the drippings are there. But that's it, we're ready to go. So here we are an hour into the cook, and I wanted to kind of show you where things are settling in. I've refueled the cold smoker a couple times, and it's reading up at this level in the grill 300, and that's the lowest I can go with this modification. I have it all the way in the lowest setting, and but the good news is the temp probe on the lower rack is saying it's at 260, so about 40 degrees cooler than up there. And we look at it, so this is what's going on, right? So this looks good, right? We've got the meat on the smoke supply side. Here's where it's 260 degrees. We've got good flame down there. I don't know if you can see it, but burning fine down there, and things look good. So, all right, it's 5 hours into the cook, and we're still only reading in the 150 degrees range. So I'm going to wrap this in foil. I'm going to spray it down with some maple syrup and water. so it's got a little extra moisture in there. And back on the heat. All right, so we're about 5.5 hours into the cook, and this thing is saying we're at 263 degrees on the lower grate and a little under 300 on the upper, and we've got the chuck roast wrapped. So I'll probably let it go in another half an hour. I'll check the temps. It'd probably be done in an hour. All right, so thankfully that cook is done. It took 6.5 hours for this 3.5 pound chuck roast, and it's 19 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and I'm glad to be in. So I'm going to slice it and show you what the results were. With the way the grill is working, I think what I'll do is make another orifice that is halfway between the two sizes. So the 70 was the size that was not working for me because it was not staying hot enough. We went down to 68 instead of 69, and what happened was it's pretty hot still. 260 was about as low as I could get on the lower grate, which is where I was cooking this, and it was about 300 on the top grate. So they're good smoking temperatures, but you kind of want to be flexible between something like 230 and 280. Yeah, this is looking great. It's got a 1/4 inch smoke ring on it, which is, you know, almost impossible to get on a gas grill unless you do something like what I was doing with using a smoke generator. Anyway, there's the end result. So that was my installment about retro grilling. That grill is more than 25 years old, and I enjoyed playing around with it in the last 2 years and modifying it to do what I wanted. But sort of like retro computing, you know, I could get a new one and do it the new way, but I kind of enjoy doing it the old way. And also, I hope you appreciate the novelty of it. There's a ton of great channels out there that do cooking videos. I don't plan to do that unless there's places where I can find that I'm doing something new or different or can offer something there. In this case, I don't know of anyone else who smokes meats on a gas grill using a cold smoker like that, so I thought it might be worthwhile. Last month when I posted about how I use the blowtorch on the grill, Adam from Caffeinated Tech said he wouldn't mind seeing how I do a cook on there, so I thought I'd show that. But next time we'll be back to some more computer related content, and I hope you join me here on Dr. Dave's Diversions.